Welcome. It is Tuesday, Tittle Tuesday, May 31st, 2022. I welcome you back to my channel. I welcome you to my channel. And if you are new to this channel, be sure to hit that subscribe button if you like the content here. Also hit the bell followed by all so that you get notifications for future things, and always check your cellular devices. Somewhere along the line today, be sure to hit that like button. Down below you can find all the links to my social media, including the last recent newsletter. There'll be a new one, and you can subscribe to that free newsletter down below as well by opening up the link to the newsletter. Today, again, is Tuesday, May 31st. We do this every Tuesday. A little late today, but better late than never. That's what I say. I just came back from vacation, home vacation, but I live in paradise, so sometimes I don't get to enjoy it. I got to finally enjoy it. But while I was out on vacation, once again, somebody decided to steal all my identity on Instagram and started sending messages to people and so forth. I've said this over and over and over again, and I will continue to say this. I will absolutely never ever private message you through Instagram, Facebook, or Twitter. Never. I will never say that there's a message for you from Spirit. I will never say that there's a special offer. I will never do any of that through private messages. The only messages you will ever receive from my office or myself would come from my office at josephtittel.com. And so always be aware, because I know that there are people out there, followers, fans, clients, that fell for that and fell for clicking on links and fell for, being taken for money. And I'm sorry, I say it all the time and I continue to say it. And if you fall for it, that's sad. I feel bad for you. You should know. And hopefully you'll pass this message on. And I'm not the only one whose identity gets stolen, so be aware of that. I mean, good friend John Holland messaged me one of those messages, and I knew it wasn't him. Because those messages are BS, my friends. So please do not fall for that. I hope you all had a beautiful weekend, by the way. I did. It was great hanging out with family, getting a hike. Got to one of my spots that I wanted to get to forever, but didn't want to go by myself. Oh, it's been amazing. It's been amazing. So every Tuesday we talk about different news events. If you're new to this and haven't been hanging out with me before, we talk about news events that align with predictions and prophecies from the past, that have additional predictions or could have prophecy attached to it for the future. We talk about new predictions. I didn't get a whole lot of time to prepare today. I mean, I got information and I'm sure I could talk up the whole hour. But if not, that's okay. Better the short show than no show, and there's always good information to give you, juicy information and things to talk about. And I thank you that leave links down below to articles that and videos that align with events happening in the world that align with my predictions. That makes this show even more juicier. Gives me more content, gives me more ability of not having to do research and focusing more on predictions on Tuesday shows. And being we're going into the first of the month, sometime, hopefully this week is the plan. I don't know which day. Of course, I'll have another video up, either upload it or we'll go live. I have 2 different live videos on my list, and a whole bunch of information and a whole bunch of stuff that I'm putting together, or will put together now that I'm back from vacation. Lots of interesting, juicy information for you all. Some of it that will end up being posted on my Rumble. And I don't post on Rumble very often, but these certain things are going to be posted on Rumble specifically, and as you know why. So, in the news, and it is tea time. My positive energy yogi tea. Sweet tangerine, to be exact. That's what I'm having today. So I talked in my past predictions about a major train derailment happening. But we also are all aware at this point about what's happening with the attack on our infrastructure with the food. And that includes anything related to food, fertilizer, so forth. And if you're really aware and awakened, you'll know about the major issues with fertilizer for the farmers. And farmers even changing their crops this year and not growing what they normally grow and growing something that takes less fertilizer. Some are being paid by governments to not grow at all. That's a fact, especially here in the United States. This is an attack on the infrastructure of our food systems. This is literally a vitally important topic. Really, technically, it's the most important, because food and water is life. And when it comes to having no food or water, people will become maniacs. They'll go crazy. And it's important that we keep our family and friends safe and keep each other safe, whether it's going into a community or what have you. So speaking of train derailments, a train derailment took place approximately 43 cars off of the tracks in Alberta on Sunday. The westbound train was derailed near the southern Alberta town of Fort Macleod, close to Highway 3 between Range 251 and Range 252. But according to the news release from the Fort Macleod, the rail cars were carrying potash. I don't know, I never heard of the phrase potash before. But fertilizer, basically. There were no injuries reported and yada, yada, yada. But there's pictures of this. But the whole point of it is it's the prediction of me saying a major train derailment. And I also said, and I don't remember everything I say, I put out a lot of predictions. You know, that's why it's important to subscribe, be on top of it, because every week there's something new or something different, or I'm adding to something in the past. And I remember train derailments somehow affecting our food system is part of one of the predictions I made. And we see that happening right here with Canada and the Canadians. And we already know the Canadians went through enough with what they did with the truckers and all that, and freezing people's bank accounts and so forth. But I thought that was an important story to bring to you at the top of my list as far as the Canadian freight train with all that fertilizer. Now, what happens to that fertilizer? That fertilizer, there were people depending on that for their farms, for their growing. And that was derailed. So now what's going to happen with all those farms that fertilizer was set to go to? We know what's going to happen. Again, it's going to put another dent in the infrastructure of our food systems, which even brings up the systems of banking systems. I told you not to trust banks. Don't trust any of it, especially even digital currencies, all that. I've said again and again and again to put your money into physical things, silver, gold, and things along those lines, physical things. But now, more than anything, I would say that extra money you should take and you should be stocking up on food and perishable items that you have a huge supply of it. That would come first on the list. I mean, on my list anyway, that's the top of my list, and I've been stocking them for a while. Scotia Bank apologizes for freezing bank accounts during an emergency act. The Emergency Act. Scotia Bank is the first major bank to apologize for freezing bank accounts of the Freedom Convoy organizer B.J. Ditcher. The most relevant lines are, "Please accept our sincere apologies for the frustration and inconvenience this situation may have caused. Thank you for your patience, blah, 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 BS." They froze bank accounts, and again, I didn't realize this until I actually read the article. I just put the link here that somebody sent me. The first major bank apologizes for freezing bank accounts of the Freedom Convoy organizer. We were just talking about that with the Canadians and what happened there. So now it's hitting, more. It's hitting even more. It's kind of crazy, right? Kind of really crazy, actually. I have something here on the Antichrist. I don't know what that's doing on that line. Let's move that out of the way and move down to Disney. Oh, yes, Disney. Disney's always going to be a subject, I feel, on this show, because there's always some kind of disgustingness that's going on in that realm of Mickey and Minnie Mouse. So, I've said it again and again about the disgusting things that are happening within that system of Disney, including the pedophiles and all that have been arrested, the resigning of CEOs and so forth. And Spirit tells me now, there's another resigning of a CEO coming within the Disney Corporation. 3 in all. And you have to look at, not just Disney as a whole, but the companies that they, corporations that they're a part of and own now. So first, Spirit says there's going to be one coming with the Disney Corp, but 3 in all. So I'm going to take that as not just one that heads up that company and all, but that heads up their other sub companies or whatever you want to call them. And so kind of sick. But remember I said to you that Disney was going to cross the line because they only ever put out PG and G movies, maybe PG-13 at the most. And I said that there was going to be an R-rated movie that would cause controversy revolved around Disney and Disney, characters. Well, this is kind of sick, actually, my friends. I wish I could show you the picture, but you can look it up yourself. Winnie the Pooh. Winnie the Pooh. I used to love that when I was a little ankle biter. Blood and Honey is a nightmare re-imaging of the beloved bear. Oh, brother. Winnie the Pooh just got really dark. A new horror film called Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey, re-images the beloved children's book character as a serial killer. Not exactly a cozy bedtime story. The indie horror title is currently in production by director Waterfield. Quite a staggering directional debut, if you ask me, says this article. The cast includes Craig David Dowsett as Winnie, Chris Cordell as Piglet, and other characters include the Caged Man, blah, blah, blah. So that, again, they would have to get permission if this wasn't a Disney company to use the likes of Winnie the Pooh in order to do that. That is really sick. And I am a horror film buff, but this would be a horror film that I will not put on my list. Just saying. And they're twisted. Although I'll probably end up having to watch it because I'm sure without a doubt that there's going to be major symbolism in this movie. And I just thought it was really insane. And whoever sent that to me, thank you for that. I think that's on my Facebook page. So let's move on. It means we're talking about horror and horrific things. Unfortunately, we'll go into something positive eventually. Let's talk about guns. Bang, bang. You know what? Now I need my hat for that one. I gotta be a cowboy. Get my guns going. Gunslinging. So I've said, and not even psychics, people who know this, that are awakened, have said about the gun control, and we've been saying it for over a decade, back when Obama was in place, where certain events that are happening, like the very, very sad and disgusting event that happened recently in Texas, which was also in my predictions, and sadly came true, and I don't want all these things to come true. I'd rather see them not come true, to be honest with you, but they usually do. Events like that are happening or do happen with the agenda to come afterwards of pushing the control of guns. Because, in America, we're pretty much it as far as being able to defend ourselves. You take away your guns, you take away your rights. When they have no way of fighting back, then they can take full control like they've done in other countries, as we know. And that is not right, especially in countries where you're not allowed to have guns, but they are, and they carry. Well, if there's a country with no guns, then why do the police need them? Like, if there's no guns, then the police shouldn't need them either. Maybe one in the back trunk of their car, just in case. But, seriously. So now, with this shooting, of course, instantly, right away, they're pushing gun control. Why don't they work more on helping these people with their mental illnesses instead of worrying so much about guns? But not even that. I told you that there would be a major shooting that would take place. Spirit told me, and I passed that on to you, that one would take place that would be a mind control shooting. And that's the thing, if you pay attention, they all pretty much say the same thing very often. But the guy in Texas was really creepy, where he said he didn't even remember doing it. Why would you not remember? Of course they're going to write this off as mental illness, which I'm sure there is mental illness of some sort for them to be able to control the mind. But our government has this, and I mean, you can look it up for yourself. There's even trademarks on some of their mind control crap that they do. So I said that, Spirit said that was going to happen, and then all of a sudden that shooting happened. I said Texas, and then it happened, and it could be mind control. What do we know? But the person don't remember. And then the other sickos that end up doing this often say voices told them to do it, which is usually demonic possession and so forth. But going back to the whole subject of the guns, and my friends that are very connected with military and intelligence recently said it's time to make sure, because I said I don't have a handgun. I have guns, but not handgun. It's time to gun up. Need to have one. So now that's on my list, along with the food. Because they're right. I have a gun, but then you have to change it, reload it every time. So something to think about, especially now that the House begins to move on sweeping gun control legislation. Seems to happen all the time when these people come in, like Obama and now Biden. The House Judiciary Committee on Thursday will consider 8 pieces of gun control legislation that will be packaged together as a part of the Protecting Our Kids Act, and will move to the House floor to vote next week, according to the committee aide. A movement comes as Biden, of course, or the people that control his little puppet strings, told reporters Tuesday that he will meet with Congress on guns. I will meet with Congress on guns. I promise you, the president told reporters Tuesday. The committee will first debate and modify the proposed legislation in a markup session. So folks, again, to me, first of all, again, if the police can have them, then people should be able to have them, period. How are we supposed to defend ourselves when they come at us, in a different way? There's even been past presidents that said, take away their guns, you become totally enslaved at that point. This is going to be a huge thing, especially when we go to the South, like Texas. Texas and my friends there, all y'all in Texas, please be aware that your state is a big target by the darkness and those dark forces that run everything, especially in the United States. Big target. Florida is a big target too. I don't know why Florida, but Florida. And Florida came up. I'll try to tap into that later. It's in my list of notes today. But gun legislation, and this past weekend, sadly, they tell us, I don't believe anything they tell us, by the way. Their statistics and all their crap, I don't believe it, and you shouldn't either. You should take it with a grain of salt. But statistically, their crime was at an all-time high this weekend with more shootings, breaking records. Maybe broke the record in the United States. And that's what they're putting out today in the news. Gun violence at an all-time high. They're doing this, can you all see how this web of darkness works and what they're doing? I hope you see what they're doing, what they're attempting to do. And this, more than anything, would start a civil war in the United States, like if they keep poking and prying the bears that carry guns. So Canada, speaking of guns, Canadians, man, if I was in Canada, I'd be moving out. I'd be considering moving out by this point. Because Canada introduces a law to freeze handgun sales, ban look-alike toys. Canadians government introduced legislation on Monday to implement, all on Monday. All this happened on Monday. United States, Canada, all just happened. Interesting, right? A national freeze on the sale and purchase of handguns as a part of the gun control package that would also limit magazine capacities and ban some toys that look like guns. Well, I used to play cowboys, Indians, and guns, and cops and robbers when I was a kid and whatever. And that was then. But would I let my kid have a toy gun now? I probably wouldn't, to be quite honest with you. I probably literally wouldn't. Maybe a water one, but they have water ones that don't all look like guns. Maybe one of them out in the yard playing, on a hot summer day. Other than that, I get that. Because there's been kids that have been shot by police officers because they had a toy gun. So that part, but the rest of this new legislation, which resurrects some measures that were shelved last year amid the national election, comes a week after a gunman killed 19 children and 2 teachers in a classroom in Texas. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau told reporters the new measures were needed as gun violence was increasing. We need to look south of the border to know that if we do not take action firmly and rapidly, it gets worse and worse and gets more difficult to counter. So now look, they're using the United States as their example. And somebody put chat cash through. I don't know who, but thank you for that. I love you lots. I don't have my chat in front of me. My apologies. But yeah, so now Trudeau's using the United States. Well, look what's happening there. Oh my God, look at this big event, this horrific event, which was horrific, without a doubt. Horrific event. And we need to hurry up and prepare. All this all happening all at once. Why they're doing this whole big control of us. Especially with the whole food thing. Because they know that they're starving people out and they're going to starve people out. People are going to get violent when they don't have food for their families and the government suppresses everything. So this is all part of their web of darkness and their plan. Will they, prediction-wise, will they succeed? Spirit says, absolutely not. Not in the United States. They're never going to be able to get everybody's guns, ever. Now, there could be a point where they make it almost impossible to get a new gun, yes. And then they're going to also, they're working hard, according to Spirit right now. Spirit says they're working hard, and they have been, and gun owners should see this, on taking out the ammo. One of the things that Spirit's telling me now that we're going to see, too, is an attack on manufacturers in some way, whether it's like they do with the food places and burn them down. But this is coming, and this is coming over the next few weeks, Spirit just said. So this isn't in any of my notes, and this is why it's important to hang out live every Tuesday. Make sure you subscribe, hit the bell, all, check your cellular and all that stuff. Don't forget that like button, my friends. Because stuff comes to me and gets channeled through as I'm talking to you. So Spirit says that they'll make it extremely difficult, but right now, over the next few weeks, there will be an attack on the ammo. So yeah, as soon as I get the extra funds, I'm going to be scrambling. I'll starve for a week. I'm going out and finding me a good handgun and lots of ammo to go with it. Just to have. I'm usually would be more anti-gun, not have a gun in the house and all that. But not in these times. You know, I'm not a gun advocate, but I believe I have lots of friends that are, and I believe they should be able to own their guns and their ammo or whatever. And I would be one not to have it, other than the ones that I have that were all family, you know, passed down in the family. But now I'm the opposite. Now I feel like it's important, especially when your military intelligence friends tell you you need to gun up. So, and now Spirit's telling us that they're going to start to attack our ammunition in a different way. So, meaning that they have been doing that. We know about the ammo shortages and all that go back to the last pre-election when they were burning down our cities, you know, in the United States. And allowing it to happen all at the same time, which still blows my mind that happened. And will probably happen again in the future, especially when Donald Trump comes back into the picture, because he will. He will come back into the picture. And again, I still say that he's a part of it all. Because again, and especially if he were to, you know, come back and win, you know, the whole rigged things, how it was all rigged, well, all of a sudden it's not. Like, again, you know, just think about it. Like, all of a sudden you can win when you couldn't. So we'll have to keep an eye on that. But that would make sense to my prediction in the past, going back to 2016, when I said he would serve 2 terms, die in the 3rd year of his 2nd term. I still believe that can happen, without a doubt. Especially it aligns with the book, The Last President. And those books from the 1800s, you know, Baron Trump's Marvelous Adventure. If you're not aware of that, I talked about him on the show. I did a video on it. Really creepy stuff. So going back to the whole gun thing, Spirit told me that there will be, sadly, another large shooting in a school before this, if the vote comes in, or before the votes. They're going to throw something else in there. Something probably even, sadly, bigger than that. That's their attempt. But again, we can hold in the light and hold this whole place and all of our fellow Americans and in the light, that it doesn't happen, that they're protected. But remember what Spirit told me, you know, a while back, maybe even definitely January 1st predictions, but maybe even going back to last year where I kept having visions of another attack that looked like the Vegas attack. That's come up many times, and now with what Spirit's telling us with the ammo and their targeting, and the vision today of another large shooting, whether it's a school, I don't know if it's a school, but another large shooting. I was thinking it was probably a school, which would make that be something that will probably happen soon. So keep your family safe, especially keep your kids safe. Really, really important. Anything else on guns, Spirit? They're funny. They're like, that's enough. That's enough. Yeah, that's enough. Okay, move on to the next subject then. In my past predictions, going back a while ago, probably my New Year's Day predictions on January 1st, I was talking about ancient Egypt. And I am absolutely, personally, infatuated with ancient Egypt. On the other side of the wall behind me, I have some ancient Egyptian artifacts that I was, I'm honored to have in my collection. Actually, one right behind me on the shelf in a glass case. And so I have Egypt tattooed all over me. And I talked about major discoveries happening in the next few years. I might have even said this in New Year's predictions of last year, but major new discoveries that Spirit was saying, unlocking all kinds of, mysteries. And Egypt just uncovered 250 mummies in a trove of artifacts. And I also said a while back about a discovery like that, a new chamber and new discoveries that they overlooked, or maybe they just didn't tell us about it till decades later. But archaeologists in Egypt have discovered the largest catch of 150 bronze statues and 250 coffins containing mummies that date back 2,500 years. Now they say 2,500 years. But interesting enough, I have another article around here somewhere in my list about a skull that they found. Let me bring that up. Because Spirits told me a long time ago that we've been doing this for tens of thousands of years. At least I have been. We are way older than anyone imagines or they tell us. Well, there was a human skull found in Minnesota that kayakers found, and it dates back 8,000 years. So 8,000 years. This article will probably disappear awfully fast. They're saying that we weren't here that long ago and blah, 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 and Egypt isn't that old. The Great Pyramid in Egypt is about 12,000 years old, according to Spirit. And the Egyptians that they tell us about came later and became a part of it every 3,200 years. The poles shift. It doesn't mean they always flip all the way over because the poles are shifting now. We're at that 3,200 year period. They shift. This time it's not going to be a flip-flop. Thank goodness for the planet and us, but it is already shifting, and it's going to go more like halfway there, halfway flip. And that all occurs in our planetary system when the red star and the blue star, or as the Hopis say, the red Kachina, the blue Kachina, the Lakotas say the red star, blue star. The Bible says planet Wormwood and planet X. This is the whole, in modern day people call it the planet Nibiru, or Nibiru, or whatever way you want to pronounce it, comes into our solar system every 3,200 years, which throws everything out of balance. These are the things they don't want you to know about. That's when the Comet Apophis comes. Comet Apophis comes on Friday, April 13th, 2029. So all around that time period, because by 2032, we will be in the new Earth nation, according to Spirit, that we will be living in the new Earth, and things will be completely different by then. This decade's going to change everything, this decade that we're in. 2022 is not even partially. I mean, we started off with 2020, and look where it's been going since then. This decade is it. This is the end of everything as we know it. It doesn't mean the end of civilization, but it means the end of your comforts and the things that you enjoy. Not everything, but many things, because we need to go back to the way our ancestors lived, off the land, in community, loving one another, helping one another. And that's the way it's going to be. And apparently in the prophecies, it's going to be even beyond that of what our ancestors, ancient ancestors did. It's going to be like that incorporated with modern day technology, which is kind of amazing, can be amazing. That's where we're heading. So always hold that in your mind, my friends, when all this horrible predictions come up or horrible things happen in the world. Know that you have an opportunity, most of us, if not all of us, to enter into that new earth And in order to be a part of that, there's some things that need to be done. First of all, your self-survival, but also doing the work on ourselves, the emotional, energetic, and physical work that needs to be done on ourselves, the things that we came to this earth actually to do that we haven't been doing for decades. So human skull that was found in Minnesota that dates 8,000 years, turned up in Upper Soy Communal Tribal when two kayakers about 100 miles west of Minneapolis discovered this human skull last year. But we're just finding out about it now? I didn't see that part last year. Anyway, let's move on. Speaking of food and all those things that I've been warning you since for a while, I forget what year, 2020, to stock up on and such. The attack on our food. And Spirit gave me a bunch of predictions revolved around this as well. But this also has to do with this whole outbreak of hepatitis. The hepatitis that's happening in children. And where's my messages from my buddy? This is interesting. Did you know? Some of you, many of you, know we talked about it years ago. Others talked about it, after we all got off of global lockdown, about the next lockdown being related to the environment, climate, and all that. Interesting enough, in their paperwork that they put out everything in front of us, in front of our faces, in their documents, I forget which document, I don't know if it's Agenda 21 or 2030, I think it's Agenda 2030. Bill Gates predicts, and this is breaking news from the Epic Times, Bill Gates predicts next pandemic will be caused by the changes on our planet, and proposes, of course, an expansion of WHO. Wonder why they call it WHO. I know it's the World Health Organization, but you know how they worship that dark owl. There's good owls too. I have an owl right here, and he's a good owl. But they worship that owl. So WHO. I don't know, just a thought. So he already is predicting the next one. If you go back, he predicted the previous one. We're not going to talk about that because we're not allowed to. But I just thought this article was interesting, and I wanted to share that article with you, as one of my friends shared it with me this morning. And I'll have to look back at that paperwork when I do my video that'll be up on Rumble. I'll have to look back at that and put the pieces together for y'all. It'll probably take me a week or two to put all that together because I want it to be as defined as possible. But going back to the food... let's go back to the hepatitis, actually. A global toll of sudden mysterious hepatitis in children rises to 650 cases. This article came out about 4 days ago. The WHO reported Friday, that there will be at least 650 cases of sudden and unexplained hepatitis in young children under investigation in 33 countries, an increase of about 36 cases over the last international update about a week ago. Another 99 cases are awaiting classification. So we talked about this because probably last week or the week before, in my predictions in January, I said Spirit told me that there would be an outbreak. An angel of death would come and attack the children. I think that's somewhat of close to what I said. And then this whole thing's coming up, has been coming up with this hepatitis in children. But this leads me to this, our food. Now, how is hepatitis at all connected to our food, you would think, right? Well, the US and Canada is investigating hepatitis A outbreak that's linked to organic strawberries. They're attacking the organic now. They have been for a long time, Jeff Bezos buys Whole Foods and puts crap on the shelf that isn't organic like it's supposed to be. Because they get away with all that. They get away with everything. It's pretty crazy. They won't for long, Spirit just said. That was funny. Spirit's like, they won't for long. They won't for long. Organic strawberries, because what right now this time of year, it's it's like there's a lot of strawberries. This is the time of year where you get the best strawberries, you know, between now and the next month or so. Next month, maybe 2 months, depending on where in the world you are. But here in America, this is the time for strawberries. And now all of a sudden there's a hepatitis A outbreak. Food safety regulators in the United States and Canada are investigating a hepatitis A outbreak, potentially linked to tainted. Oh, I haven't read this article, by the way. I haven't really read any of them. I just see the topics and then I, or you send me the links and I just open them up when we get here. Because it's interesting. Let me go to my predictions. Spirit said, we will see more and more tainting of our food, so to speak. We've all clearly have seen the attack on our food's infrastructure. This is just another part of the attack on food, especially vegetables and fruits. Pesticides that contain more than just pesticide. Tainted food. Spirit shows me foods and farms that become tainted. This will bring a year leading up to more food recalls than ever before. So all in all, in my channeling today, when I was channeling that information, Spirit said that, they're not supposed to be using pesticides on organic, first off. So it was tainted some other way. But they're showing me, Spirit showing me, farms being tainted in some way. Now I'm getting a visual of a small plane flying over a farm, like dust crop, crop dusters. It looks like a crop duster. And Spirit's showing me that vision right now of a crop duster. So our farmers, our dear farmers, put cameras all across your fields if you can. Make sure that there's no crop dusters swooping down in the middle of the night, dusting your crops with something that's tainted. But Spirit also said that there would be more recalls around food this year, leading up to more recalls than ever before. So we'll have to pay attention to that. There's already been tons of them. Keep an eye out on apples as well, says Spirit. It could almost be like an Adam and Eve and not taking a bite out of the apple. Kind of like Apple iPhone. It has a bite out of it. Yeah, once you bite out of the apple, they got you. So these, unless you grow them yourself, because I have 2 apple trees, and the one is loaded with apples this year. Thank you, Holly, and anybody else that put check cash through. Thank you. I love you. So keep an eye out for apples. Now, the other thing Spirit also said to me is something's going to come up around peaches, mainly Georgia peaches. So my friends in Georgia, be aware, man, the Illuminati's got you in their scopes. This makes me feel like there's going to be an event of some sort. For example, a weather event that will heavily affect the Georgia peach production in the near future. I'm going to say that that's probably likely, again, related to weather. Something with the weather. And I have some weather predictions for you, too. Let me just go back. I lost my place. Going back to Egypt, too. Is this a separate article? I missed an article on Egypt. So the discoveries in Egypt, this is probably the same, different article on the same thing. Not too far from what is believed to be the oldest ancient Egyptian pyramid, a group of researchers from archaeological mission discovered a series of bronze statues, sarcophagi, which are coffins, and ancient manuscripts. Ancient manuscripts. Now that's interesting. Now, those ancient manuscripts that were hidden away, we probably will never get to know what's on them. Just like we don't get to know the knowledge and wisdom that was placed under the Sphinx. There's a room under the Sphinx. And they got that stuff out of there a long time ago. That's why everybody that's trying to do experiments and found that there is something under the Sphinx, the Egyptian government stops them in their tracks. But Spirit's reminding me of some prediction I made in the past. I don't recall this at all, but we'll bring it back to light today. That there's something huge still awaiting discovery in Egypt. So huge that it will and could and will change humanity in some form or another. I don't know how that is, but a huge discovery. Most likely connected to manuscripts. that they're not able to suppress, Spirit says. So there's information that's going to be released, including stuff that's already been discovered, according to Spirit, that has been suppressed, like they suppress everything from us and hide everything from us. And all these things are going to start to come out. These manuscripts will be leaked. Of course, they'll try to call them fakes at first. But Spirit says, watch closely for a change of power in Egypt. A change of power that brings protests to the streets. So our friends in Egypt, this isn't in my notes either. So again, this is why it's good to watch live and go back to past shows if you miss any, because this stuff's coming through. It's not in any of my notes. So again, when Egypt changes power, keep an eye out for that, protest in the streets. So they both would have to happen. And soon after that is when there'll be a shift of good going into that political structure and bad being cleaned out, which would then enable this previous prediction of these manuscripts and this knowledge and wisdom being, unleashed to us all, which is kind of cool. I can't wait. I can't wait to go to Egypt. That's the top of my list. I've been there many times, many past lives, just not in this life. So we were talking about food. I want to make sure I didn't miss anything. Banking systems. So, yeah. Russia. I got a whole bunch about the Clintons today, too. Oh, boy. Meet the Detroit-born Ukrainian scientist in the crosshairs of Russia's biological military lab's disinformation campaign. There's that word. Disinformation campaign, my friends. Yeah, right? Yeah. So, black tea in a blacked out kitchen. Let's skip through this article a bit. A doctor born in Detroit to Ukrainian parents was once Ukraine's Minister of Health. She's been credited with former Soviet Union's republic's medical laboratories to help the country prevent deadly outbreaks. According to Russia's disinformation, however, Yelena hatched an evil plot to cause one instead. I just thought that article was interesting to bring to note to you all today, that these two people, these scientists from Ukraine, are basically in fear of being assassinated or whatever their fear is, because they're a part of this misinformation campaign. Who is this? CNN? CBS? Just as bad. I saw that article this morning and I just had to bring it up. I just think that's really, really interesting that they're going back to this whole biolab, breakout of diseases and so forth. So that I guess the next time something is unleashed, they can blame it on, Russia. Who knows? But we're going to hold in the light that doesn't happen. That we're all happy, healthy, and joyful. And with that all said, let's talk about Hillary Clinton. And her lawyer, her campaign lawyer, who was just, found not guilty. Spirit, I have a whole lot. Just give me a minute. Let me bring up this article. Ex-Clinton campaign lawyer not found guilty of lying to the FBI. Yeah, sure. I wonder if this is a public trial that we could watch. Probably not. Sussman provided Trump-Russia tip before the 2016 election. Trial was first from John Durham's investigation of the FBI probe. And of course, they're not going to let me read this article because they want my information. But a lawyer for the Hillary Clinton's 2016 presidential campaign was found not guilty of lying to the FBI about the identity of his client when provided the faulty tip on the candidate Donald Trump 2 months before the election. So that was kind of interesting. But also you see things happening with the Trump lawsuit against the Clintons and how all of a sudden the judges that are involved are connected to Bill Clinton. Was put in there by Bill Clinton. So, it just shows how very well designed that web of darkness is. Very well designed. So let me tell you about what I got and channeled through today. In the past, I said that I had visions of Hillary Clinton testifying. Spirit began showing me those visions again today. When I see her on the stand, she is very stressed. I could feel the anxiety, and I could feel her being really pissed off too. This time it was much closer of a vision. It was almost like I was sitting there questioning her in the courtroom, compared to my past vision, which was kind of like a flash of watching it on the television. This time I was there, and I could feel her anxiety, her stress, and her being kind of really pissed off at the questions. And the questions feel to me like they're calling her out on something, and that's why she's pissed off with anxiety and stress all on top of it. Spirit shows me an envelope packed with money, along with a small briefcase filled with money being passed. One to a man, the briefcase, to a man dressed in a very, very expensive suit. If I saw this guy, I would know I would know who I would know. That's how clear this vision was today. And I saw this, briefcase being opened up, closed, and handed to him and passed off. And then I saw the other one dressed in, the other one was handed to a scruffy man with tethered jeans, and he feels basically like a hitman to me. He just had that energy, and had that energy like being, doing some kind of drugs like cocaine or whatever. So are the Clintons about to pay somebody off? I don't know. Are they about to pay off, or did they pay off somebody? And that's why Spirit showed me this vision today. I'm going to say that, being that I got this article about the lawyer being released, found not guilty, then Spirit showed me this vision. So it's easy to assume that one of these two money exchanges would have to do with that particular hearing. If not, likely, again, I see her testifying, stressed out and mad. So this is going to be a future event, I would hope, I would think. But I'm not sure. The guy felt like a hitman. So are they about to take out another target? Because, if you do your research and you listen and you follow the right sources, they did some bad things. Bad things. And only time will tell. But the Clintons are about to endure a wave of karma coming their way that will take a toll on both Hillary and Bill's health. I see Bill Clinton having issues that appear to be long-term, appear to be from long-term cocaine use. I didn't say it, Spirit gave me that. So therefore, again, not that it is from long-term cocaine use, but somebody with long-term cocaine use would have issues with their sinuses. I'm a huge Stevie Nicks. I love her more than anything as far as being a fan. And her story is that, doctor said, you keep doing cocaine, you're going to blow a hole in your brain because of the hole that was there. So that pops in my mind. It makes me think of that. So something with the nostrils and with his brain. Not sure what it is. So maybe we'll have to keep an eye on Bill Clinton's nose. See if he gets any kind of nose job or anything in the near future. Hillary will endure both hip and knee issues and other issues as well. But likely this will bring her into surgery for a replacement of one or both. So a hip or a knee replacement or both. So that's coming. So hopefully that'll keep her from running in the next election, bringing more chaos to our planet. There will also be some financial woes coming their way in the next 2 years, especially come 2024, when both of them will be in their 8 personal years. So they're both always in the same personal years in numerology. So right now they're in a 6 year. So in 2024, they'll be in an 8 year, and the 8 year is all about money and finances. And I feel like that's not going to be a good 8 year money finance year for them. By 2025, I believe one of them is going to pass away, which would be their 9 year. And I think that'll be Bill Clinton. I also felt today that Bill Clinton was having issues that we can relate to, like Biden, with the thinking, with the dementia or whatever. So let's talk a little bit about weather. Whether or not we're going to have to worry about weather. Sorry, I can't help my corniness. I said that last week that there would be a major earthquake in Peru. I think it was the next day or 2 days, 3 days tops afterwards. I don't have it here, but I'm pretty sure I remembered it was a 7.2, I believe. But an earthquake that did hit Peru right after. And there was another one that hit somewhere else that I said the same week. There were a ton of them all over the past week. I told you this is what happens when we're in the energy shift. Here's some good news for you. We are now in the new moon energy. We are in the waxing moon energy. We are out of the energy shift as of yesterday. Thank you, Lord and Savior. And therefore, we're coming out of the retrograde into the post shadow now. We're dwindling out of the Mercury retrograde energy. But we're still in the post shadow till, I think, June 9th or 12th or something like that. All right, maybe June 6th. Forget what it is, but we're still in that energy. Therefore, as we're going into June and as we're coming out of, we're in the new moon. This is a great rebirth cycle. So we should expect some positive things to come into light now. Because, the new moon's all about renewal, all about bringing the new things and manifesting and making things happen on a positive level. So do this for yourself. The new moon was only just over 24 hours ago, no matter where you are in the world. And that's all about growth and goodness and good health and so forth. So know that. But at the same time, Spirit was showing me that, we're getting close to the solstice and such. And I'll give you a little bit more about that in a moment. But on the subject of earthquakes and weather and such, let's go to this one. I also told you that there would be, we went through the whole hurricane season last month. I went through all the names of the hurricanes. And I'll touch base on that when I get to the next weather video. I'll go back to that again. But you can go back to that weather video, top weather predictions. It was sometime about a month. Actually, it might have been 2 months ago. And I said in that predictions that there would be an early hurricane season, that there would be something coming up in the sea before hurricane season starts, which starts June 1st. And if you're following the weather, you know already that there is a huge hurricane that just hit Mexico, caused, I think, 3 deaths so far. And there's like dozens of people missing. So there we have that hurricane that Spirit told me that was going to hit and stir up before hurricane season even begins. That in itself, my friends, should show you that we are in for the heck of a season. Record-setting storm Agatha could bring life-threatening flash flooding, forecasters say. This is today, actually. Hurricane Agatha made history as the strongest storm to make landfall along Mexico's Pacific coast in May, since record-keeping began back in 1949, before weakening into a tropical storm, says the U.S. Hurricane Center in Miami. It was expected to keep weakening Tuesday, despite over southern Mexico by Tuesday afternoon. Agatha came ashore Monday afternoon over a sparsely populated stretch of a small beach town and fishing villages. As strong as a Category 2 hurricane, it had maximum sustained winds of 105 miles an hour and blah, 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 blah. Agatha was downgraded to a tropical storm with 70-mile-an-hour winds. And now they're saying that it's back out at sea and... Oh, look, Jeff Masters, meteorologist at Yale Climate Connections and the founder of Weather Underground, said, the region's hurricanes typically get their start from tropical waves coming off the coast of Africa. And Africa pops up. Africa's in for a stormy season, says Spirit right now. Stormy season for Africa. And again, I will hone in on this when I get the time to do the weather video next, which I'll probably do that live. Hopefully, maybe I'll do that next. Maybe that'll be next on my list. Because now I'm curious as to what Jeff Masters says about Africa and the waves, according to this article out of CBS News. I have another one here. Hold on. I have 2 more here, actually. The remnants of Hurricane Agatha could become Alex this week, after making landfall, and we know all that already. However, some of the remains of this storm could drift east, help spark a storm off the eastern coast of Mexico, and threatens Florida by this weekend. I warned Florida. I warned my friends. I have family in Florida, my brother's in Florida. Another stormy season for Florida. It's in my weather prediction video. Again, go back and check it out. I did go through all the names of the hurricanes. I don't remember, but I swear I said something about Alex. I could be wrong. Again, I can't remember everything, but And I always do the numerology revolved around each hurricane name too, and that proved to be extremely accurate last year in last year's predictions on my hurricane video. So will this build up? Yes. Spirit's showing me as I'm talking about this storm coming up from Mexico, and then I see some kind of, I don't know if it's splitting apart into two storms. I don't even know if that's possible. And then going up towards the, right side of the East Coast, up towards Maine, up that way. Or if it's two storms coming in at the same time, side by side. And if they're side by side like that and they're coming in and hitting the bottom of Florida both like that, like a V shape, that's what it seems like to me, what Spirit's showing me. So we'll have to keep an eye on that. Weather prediction video. All the more reason to subscribe. Don't forget to click that like button. Thank you for your support and your love and your chat cash and all that you do for me, because I couldn't do this without you. Remember I said way back that gas would become $8 a gallon in many places by the end of the summer. Well, it's not even the beginning of the summer. Summer hasn't started yet. And in locations in California, there's gas as high as $7.25 a gallon. I thought it was more than that. But I saw that article somebody sent me. And here's the thing is the gas now, according to this article, in a handful of locations where a gallon of gas, regular gas fuel, costs as much as the federal minimum wage. So if you are working minimum wage, you have to work an hour just to put a gallon of gas into your car. So if your car takes 2 gallons back and forth to work, now you're working 4 hours a day just to pay for the gas. That is insane. That's insanity. And that's what they're doing. They want insanity. They figure, well, we'll make gas higher than the minimum wage. This will get the, younger people, or people, not even younger people that want work minimum wage, not to work, want to work minimum wage. It's kind of sad, actually. Let's talk about aliens. Yes, aliens, one of my favorite topics. You watch Skinwalker Ranch. Everybody's been telling me about that darn show forever, and I started watching. Of course, I got hooked already on aliens. But that's the same thing that Bradshaw Ranch. And I know I'll do a video on this sometime in the future after I watch the whole series, because I already know what's going on at Skinwalker Ranch. The same thing, similar, that is going on at Bradshaw Ranch in Sedona, Arizona, out in the middle of nowhere. I've been there. Me and friends have missing time. I did videos on it, so go back. If you're into the alien stuff, go back and check out those videos. They're pretty wild. The UFO footage I have, the alien footage I have, it's all in that video. So if you want to see some aliens creeping up on us, they're in that video. But the Milky Way may have 4 malicious extraterrestrial civilizations. Again, the Milky Way may have 4 malicious extraterrestrial civilizations, according to this article that came out today. A paper discussing potential alien civilizations titled Estimating the Prevalence of Malicious Extraterrestrial Civilizations has been uploaded to the preprint server. I don't know what that means, but it was a paper written by somebody. And they did all this, whatever they did research-wise as to, what happens with our country as far as wars, the number of wars, and basically this guy collected all this data on how many external invasions have occurred over the past 50 years on Earth, meaning when one country invades the other. Taking this data to a galactic scale and pairing it with the estimation of as many as 15,785 civilizations that may inhabit our Milky Way. So basically saying out of all that, there's a strong potential that 4 of them are very malicious, very malicious. So the reason I brought this up and thought this was kind of slightly funny is because of their whole, the waves that they're going to send, that they're sending. The darkness. Go back to last week's video. I talked about the 5 waves. One of those in their documents is to make it seem like there's an alien invasion. What is that? Is that a UFO in the sky? No, it's an airplane. An alien invasion happening, and blowing up cities and making it look like it's something that it's not. And this was part of their plan. So I brought this up today in Skinwalker Ranch because you have these shows like Skinwalker Ranch happening. You see that the UFO phenomenon has gone crazy recently, as predicted. You've seen Congress having a whole meeting on it, on the UAPs. Unidentified aerial phenomena, UAPs. That's what they call them now. They're UAPs instead of UFOs. It's kind of interesting. And then you see this article where they're saying, oh, well, there's malicious ones out there in the world. Malicious. And my computer's going to die. Hold on. So this is a preparation, folks. They're prepping. And I said it before, but I'll say it again, that, they're prepping us for a big release of information, but also they're doing so in a fearful way with movies and things that they're doing to try to make us scared. Have no fear, because there's good out there, more good ones than there are bad ones. And like the prophecies say, regardless of what happens on Earth or from other earthly beings, good's always going to prevail. And the good guys are out there watching us. Just like the bad guys doing their bad things and their abductions and all the other sick stuff, cattle mutilations and all this that they've done on this planet, especially since the 70s. There's good ones out there watching too. They're not allowed to intervene yet. Don't know why, but it has to get to a certain point. And again, it's in the prophecies about the space people. The Hopi natives talk about it. The Hopi natives will tell you that in the last shift on the Earth 3,200 years ago, the star brothers and sisters came down and took them off the Earth while the Earth shifted and then brought them back afterwards. They also will tell you that they are the first people of the Earth. The original people of the Earth. So keep an eye out for UFOs and aliens, because there's so much more coming, so much more discoveries that they're going to tell you is a recent discovery, a new discovery, but they are not. So there's 4 planets in our solar system that are in a rare alignment, invisible to the naked eye in June. 4 planets in our solar system are set to align in June 24th, 2022. Now, we have the summer solstice, winter solstice in the southern hemisphere on June 21st. And then on the 24th, we have these 4 planets doing something that is extremely rare. These planets will be bright enough to see with the naked eye, and they will align in an order just before sunrise near the end of June. However, at the start of the month of June, you can already get a taste of the planetary parade. On the morning of June 4th, all planets in the solar system will line up in an ascending straight line, spinning 91 degrees from the sun. However, Mercury will break the horizon by 5 a.m. The line of these planets is close to ecliptic, which is the path that the sun takes in the sky. This planetary alignment doesn't mean that they're actually lined up, but they're in a line, and this is something that hasn't happened in roughly about 50 years. So we'd have to go back 50 years to see what happened on the planet. But more than anything, what makes this important is we have Jupiter, Mercury, Saturn, and Mars, and Venus. And especially like Mars, all those planets, the Mercury, all interweaved in that energy that's going to be happening on the planet is like slightly comparable to what happened in 2012 with the alignment. But we have 3 days prior to that, the summer solstice or winter solstice in the southern hemisphere. And we're coming out of this energy shift. So major events, and I would take this as positive. I would take this as a positive shift. Doesn't mean that there won't be a new war that erupts, because there will be by month's end of June. But there will be positive that can come out of this. More of a huge awakening yet to come, is what Spirit just said. More than, what's that mean? More than a huge awakening. More than. I don't know what that means. They won't give me an answer. More than a huge awakening happening on the planet. All right. Let's move on. So let me go back to the food. So the hepatitis, we talked about that. Did I read all this to you? I did read all my notes to you. All right, let me give you my last few predictions that came up. In the Middle East, Pakistan, and areas, I feel like I might have said this before. Maybe I copied it from last week by accident. But in the Middle East, Pakistan, and areas will dry up, experiencing hundreds, if not thousands, of deaths from heat, dehydration, and heat strokes. This is coming up for the summer season. Again, the whole Middle East, mainly Pakistan and areas surrounding, is going to have a major dry up of water this year, coming up over the next couple months. And the heat is going to be so intense that it's going to kill hundreds, if not thousands, of people, again, from heat, dehydration, and heat strokes. Starvation, and going back to food. The places that need to, everybody should be concerned and worried and stocking up on food. Go buy a 20-pound bag of rice, some dried beans. They're inexpensive. Dried beans, you can get, I got them for like $1 or something a bag, and put them in the cabinet. And then grab yourself some bulk seasoning so you have something to season it with. Just knowing that you have that in case something happened, rice, beans, and some seasoning, it'll do when you're hungry. Starvation in India is coming first. It's already happening, is what Spirit just said. And China, of course. But with China, Spirit tells me now that they're starving out their own people and have been for a while. But the order and their goal of the darkness is India and China. And they are the two most populated, so that would make sense that they would try to target those areas. Controversy is going to erupt over the WHO's world takeover. And I briefed you on that a little bit either last week or the week before, how they want to do this whole takeover. They literally, basically, Biden wants to hand it over to Bill Gates, the whole thing. The whole health, your health, is going to be controlled by them. We can't let this happen, my friends. We cannot let this happen. Therefore, when they do the mark of the beast and the chip and WHO's in charge, guess what? You're getting it. Because they're in charge and they're going to come in with their UN soldiers and force it on people. We must not let this happen. We must not. I'll go out shooting before I let anybody put anything in me. No way. But controversy is going to erupt over this, is what Spirit said. And I asked for details, but I didn't get any more details other than that. Major. Like, controversy means protests, maybe even rioting. Spirit was showing me a vision today of a massive volcanic eruption. Spirit says another La Palma, but worst. Another La Palma, but worst. Spirit reminded me also of the huge volcano that happened years ago that I predicted, actually. It specifically said that Hawaii was going to have a massive volcanic eruption. They did. And remember how the whole island collapsed in? If you go look at GPS, you can see it now. Well, Spirit showed me that vision again of that volcano in Hawaii collapsing, and the part of the island going under the sea. So I'm going to take this that it's easy to interpret that Spirit saying a massive volcano bigger than La Palma, and then me having the vision and memory of what happened in Hawaii would make me think that this volcano that's coming is going to collapse in. Or collapse out. And collapse out could cause major tsunamis. So we'll have to keep an eye on that. I'm thinking, again, this came up today, so I would think this could be an event that's happening this month, and especially around the solstice. Hawaii did come to my mind today besides that, and I see a separate eruption, a volcanic eruption coming to Hawaii as well. I didn't feel so bad about that as I did the other one. I don't think the massive volcano eruption that Spirit first showed me that's bigger than La Palma, I don't think that's Hawaii. I think Hawaii's getting something separate. And I didn't feel too, super worried about it at all. And Spirit also told me that a tornado system will crash through the Midwest up towards, going east. Going directly east is what Spirit showed me. To be aware of the month of June and the full moon and the solstice both. Very, very important. Let me go to my calendar real quick. I forget when the full moon is, but it's coming up. Well, we just had the new moon, so 2 weeks. It's probably right around the solstice. Let's see, full moon is on the 14th. So it's exactly a week before solstice. Just thinking out loud, my friends, but around the full moon is what Spirit said. Keep an eye out around the full moon and the solstice. So I'm going to say between the 14th and the 21st, that whole 7-day cycle right there. I'll tune in more about that. I'll get more information about that, as I always do for you, my beautiful friends. Last thing is, I took notes here. This has been here since probably last Tuesday night. The Antichrist thing popped up in my mind. And all I got from that is it's someone's kid. Of course it's someone's kid. I laughed at that. I'm like, of course it's someone's kid, Spirit. Duh. The devil's kid. But no, I was getting, it was like, for example, like we'll say, I can't think of any, we'll say Bill Gates, his kid. So that's what I have for you. Hopefully, when they told me, Spirit said it would be someone's kid, one of the elite's kids. That's the word I'm looking for. One of the elite kids who has been basically prepped for this since birth. This kid probably might not have seen, we might not know or have seen this kid much, if at all, because they've been prepping and keeping this kid, like, brainwashed or whatever, to be this Antichrist, who is, I believe, could be in their early 30s right now, age-wise. So, just thought that was an interesting thing to bring up to you all today. I will be back again soon. Don't forget to click that like button. Thank you for your chat cash. Anybody that sent that through, or even people that send it through PayPal, because I couldn't do all this without your love and support. And let's see, Sandra. Oh, so good to me. I love you, Sandra. Thank you for the PayPal support. You can also support after the show broadcast by clicking the thanks button down below. Don't forget to check out all my social media. And remember what I said about Instagram, folks. That is not me. I will absolutely, positively, never, ever private message you through social media. Ever. Ever, ever, ever. So if you get a message from somebody that claims to be me, it is not me. The only email or message you will ever receive from me is through my office email, office@josephtittel.com. Anything other than that is not me. Call these people out. Report their pages. Please, you must report them. Even though people report them on Facebook, yeah, they take other people down, but they let people take advantage and steal and be frauds and everything else on there. But they take down people for saying something that they don't want you to hear. It's unbelievable to me. But you know what else is unbelievable? You. Unbelievably amazing. Thank you for being amazing and loving yourself and loving others. Really important. I'm off for today. I'll be back soon. Keep an eye on your subscribe, because I will be back sometime by the end of the week with something for you all. I look forward to connecting with you again in the future. I hope you have a beautiful rest of your day. Spiritman JT signing off and wishing you and giving you a namaste. Namaste, beautiful friends. I will see you in the future.